and welcome back to another episode of the Ruck Report. If you are tuning in for the first time, the Ruck Report is a show where we review the week that was, so round 25. Now, what a week of Rugby League we've just endured. So, without further ado, let's get straight into it. Welcome to the Ruck Report. Here we go. Let's go all the way back to Thursday night footy, and what a game this was. The Rabbitohs against the Dragons. Bunnies getting it done 40-0. Absolutely incredible stuff. I've just got a request here. I might actually her in here. But look, Thursday night, absolutely beautiful footy. The Bunnies were flying, absolutely flying. 40-0 in this one. And look, I tipped the Dragons. I really thought the Dragons have been showing some real promise over the past few weeks. I know there's been a couple of losses in that, but this one was woeful for them. Absolutely woeful. Dragons fans, if you're in the comments, I don't know where you go from here because that game just, it did not look good at all. Credit to the Bunnies, that's hard for me to say, but credit to the Bunnies. The Bunnies played a really, really good game in this. Young Ashton Ward, playing 5'8", looked extremely young, looked about 12 years old, but he did fantastic. I thought he didn't really miss a beat for the Bunnies, and his kicking game was elite. I thought his goal kicking was really, really good. Cody Walker off the bench really surprised me. I know he's coming back from an injury, but I just think he looks a bit. He looks a bit done. I think age is getting to Cody, and I think it might be time for him to hang up the boots sooner rather than later. If we do have any Rabbitohs fans in the comments, let me know your thoughts on that because Cody, we've seen him. He's performed at the highest level for a long period now, but he's just starting to get to that age where injuries are creeping up, and yeah, doesn't look very good at the moment. Please do comment. I will answer all the comments as we go. All right, let's jump into our first Friday night game. What a game this was! The Miracle in Mudgee, the Raiders against the Panthers. Now, absolutely incredible scenes here. Penrith, they lost in Golden Point to Melbourne last week, and everyone thought, okay, they're going to stand up in this game. They're hungry. They want to win. Raiders, I was very surprised when I saw the odds for this at Sportsbet. Raiders at $2.30 coming first on the table to beat Penrith Panthers, who were at $1.20 or so, some sort of odds like that, but very short price favourites. And it really, really surprised me because I think the Raiders have been playing really good footy this year. So, yeah, look, Raiders getting it done in Golden Point again, but absolute scenes there at Mudgee because if you do live under a rock, you know, Nathan Cleary takes a field goal, hits the post, bounces into the Raiders' hands, and they run 100 meters and score an incredible try through Strange and Weak. So, yeah, look, incredible scenes. Raiders getting it done 20-16 there. A couple of comments here. We've got Rugby League Therapy Podcast, not to bash on 200 gamer Luke Brooks, but even 12-year-old Ashton Ward is better than him after only 3 games. Yeah, look, we'll get to Brooksy very soon. Actually, he's already had a good game against Manly. Peking Duck footy, Friday night footy was fire. Absolutely, it was elite. But yeah, what a game this was. Now 2 weeks in a row for Penrith where they've lost in Golden Point, and I don't know, the knock was on them that, they won 5 games in a row against the bottom 5 teams, and now they've played 2 teams in the top 4 and they haven't won either of them. So, pretenders or contenders, you guys tell me. Peking Duck Footy, 4 field goal attempts missed in the Raiders v Panthers. So yeah, absolutely. It wasn't very good showing field goal wise, but they just needed to make it golden try, and that's what happened. Let's jump into our second Friday night game, another absolute cracker. We had the Bulldogs against the Melbourne Storm. Melbourne Storm getting it done 20-14 in this one. Now, I thought this game was going to be all Melbourne, but credit to the Bulldogs. They really, really stood up in this game. Bulldogs came hard after their loss to the Roosters the week before by 20 points. They really needed a win in this game. And look, they came to play. The Dogs really came to play. And I thought they matched Melbourne for most of this game. But in the end, as we've seen so many times, Melbourne just too clinical. They get it done again. Look, again, I'm yet to see an 80-minute performance from Melbourne. I know we've got a couple of Melbourne Storm fans in our comments here, but I'm yet to see an 80-minute performance. They're in the top 4 and they're doing what we expect every year, but they're scraping through. We still have not seen Melbourne put on a performance where you go, okay, like they're a threat, because you see games where you go, man, anyone can beat him. Greg King 792. Where is Reese? Bit busy tonight, mate. He is not in, so I will take the reins in this one. Hold the fort down. But thank you for joining. Please stay and listen. It's going to be a cracker. Yeah, look, credit to Melbourne. They get it done again. You know, Harry Grant in a bit of trouble, looking like 2 weeks. If he does fight it and he's unsuccessful, it will be three. So it was good for my Roosters heading into that game next week. But we'll talk about the injury coming from that game as well, which is not a good one for us. But Melbourne will be without Grant and Hughes for the next few weeks. So we'll see what happens there. We assume Bronson Garlick goes straight into that hooking role there. So Garlick takes that spot, and the Melbourne system, they know how to adjust to that, so I think they'll be okay. But obviously, I'll back my Chooks next week. But the Bulldogs, two losses in a row. They head into hungry, red-hot Penrith next week, who will not want to lose three. And it's crazy that both of these teams in the top four, one of them will be three losses in a row. It's going to be absolutely crazy. I think Penrith get it done next week. I really do. I personally, and I love you Dogs fans, and shout out to the Bulldogs and what they've done this year, but I don't know if the Dogs win another game. I really don't. I think they could potentially lose to Penrith and then the Sharks the week after. So look, it'd be interesting to see what happens there. Let's jump into some Saturday footy now. What a game this was. We'll start off with 3 p.m. It was it was an interesting one. Manly against the Dolphins. Now, I took the Dolphins in this game, but Manly, I should say, to their credit, were absolutely outstanding in this one. 58-30. Daly Cherry Evans, 350th game. What a milestone it was. Quickly, Peking Duck Footy said, Bulldogs haven't won a Thursday night game all season. Does it continue next week? It'd be really interesting. I think it might. Greg King, I think the Storm did play an 80-minute performance. Yeah, okay. Well, that's good to hear. I do like to hear that. I do like to hear different opinions there. I'm just yet to see it. I'm yet to see a performance where, for me personally, where they take control. I thought the Dogs were still really in that game. The Dogs, they fought hard. They only lost by one try. So Mick makes art statistically back at the Manly Seagulls. Look, getting it done 58-30, massive score there. Cherry Evans, I thought he was good in his milestone game, but I actually thought Luke Brooks was really, really good. We spoke about him a bit earlier before, but I thought he was great. He got it done, and Manly just they just showed that they still do have a lot to offer. I thought Tommy Turbo was great at the back. Kula, we know the speed he possesses, but the Dolphins. Let's talk about the Dolphins for a little bit. Now, this is twice so far this season that they've had 50 points put on them, and they just looked atrocious. They just the attack was sloppy. You had Trey Fuller at the back with Hammer into centre. I don't know if I like it. I don't know if I don't know how I feel about it. I mean, I know Hammer plays for Queensland at centre, but Origin footy is not the same as club footy, and I think Hammer's best position is fullback. You got to have his hands on the ball. I think he's got to be there. Trey Fuller's a fantastic player, don't get me wrong, and he's a starting fullback in any other side. But I think the Dolphins needed Hammer at the back there. Of course, a bit of a reshuffle during the game. Jake Averillo went to 5'8" with Nicarima out in this one, but credit to Manly, they got this done pretty easily. I'll just have a quick look at some comments. None there. Shout out to Luke James Ward-Bra. Hello, mate. Thank you for joining. All right, let's jump into our second Saturday game. It was the Titans against the Warriors. I had a terrible Saturday, none from three in tipping. Do not follow my tips whatsoever. I tipped the upset in this one, Titans to get it done, but the Wars, they were back, baby. They were ready for that top four finish, and look, they played like it. I thought the Wars were really, really good in this game. The Titans, you can see why they're on the bottom of the table. They were just sloppy in their attack and defense. I thought they had some opportunities, but they just couldn't put it together. I just thought they just lacked the execution and the punch that you sort of see from these top footy sides. The Warriors, they were really classy. Roger Tuivasa-Sheck in a couple of tries. I thought he was great out on the wing. But yeah, look, where to for the Wars, because they're back in the top four, but they're just hanging in there. You know what I mean? They're a team that the past month they've really slid. Metcalf, of course, has been their biggest loss. Once Metcalf went down injured, it's been really tough. Picking Duck Footy, can someone break down the post-match presser controversy with Des, Basket, and the Journo? I missed Sunday games. Okay, so basically, Jono asked Des about David Fafita, who has been on the outer at the club. And presser Des has not basket. Yeah, hey, I'm just reading what you wrote. Uh, Dave Fafita is on the outer at the club, and the journo asked a fair question, I thought, and he just said, wants to go with Dave Fafita. When will we see Dave again? And Desi said, oh, he signed the 2026 and didn't really answer the question and just kept saying he signed for 2026. And the journo got a bit heated. Journo said, look, like you look out there today and it was all Warriors fans at a Titans home game. So, yeah, I think I think the the criticism is correct because the Titans, the Gold Coast, we've had this struggle with the Gold Coast for a long time. We've had a lot of Gold Coast teams in the comp, whether it be the Seagulls or the Chargers as well. And there's always been an issue with footy on the Gold Coast. They just, well, I don't know what it is, if it's that beachy culture or what they put it down to, but they just cannot play footy for some reason. And Desi is under the pump. He's absolutely under the pump. There was talks that he was retiring at the end of the year. I don't know how true that is. But I definitely think he won't keep his job long next year. From all reports, Fafita is pretty much signed at the Rabbitohs, so he'll be absolutely on the move. But yeah, it was a he's signed for 26. Mick Makes Art said, yeah, exactly right. But back into this Wires game, I thought the Wires were really impressive in this one, and yeah, the Titans not so much. Rugby League Therapy Podcast. If we delete Gold Coast Titans tomorrow, how long until anyone would realise? Mate, I forgot they even existed in general. I was watching this week and said, who are the Warriors playing? No, mate, shout out to all four of our Gold Coast Titans fans. Peking Duck Footy, thanks, Joey, no problem at all. Let's jump into our final Saturday game. And look, hard one to talk about this one. The Parramatta Eels against the Sydney Roosters. My Sydney Roosters, of course. Uh, Eels, 30-10. Fantastic win for Parramatta. And look, to be honest, they just came to play. They absolutely came to play. The Roosters, too many errors, completed at about 54%, which is absolutely atrocious. Atrocious is my word of the week because that's how some of this footy has been this week. And the Roosters were in that category. Lost Sammy Walker early, which, obviously was an accident. Kelman Tulagi just getting up and knees him in the head, and Semi was gone. And it's a shame watching that because it's just showing that all of the Roosters' attack has been Semi Walker and Daniel Tupou, who were both out. Semi Walker's had 14 tries, assists in 6 games, so it's pretty good stats, but. You got to be able to adjust on the run, which we just weren't able to do. And Parramatta were just hungry for this one. I actually really like Jason Riles. He's a fantastic coach, and I think he's going to get the most out of this club. So, yeah, look, good to see Parramatta get a win. Sad for my Chooks because we really needed this, especially with Dolphins losing. It would have taken us 4 points clear of them and probably secured our spot in the finals. Now we've got to try and beat Melbourne and then hopefully Souths in round 27. But um, I thought Marky Mark was great. That flick pass, him to Robert Toya. If man, I don't know how this guy keeps doing it. Robbo said in the presser that apparently he actually does that at training and he practices it all the time. Him and Rob Toya are always practicing flick passes to each other, and it's incredible. But even the first try to get up as high as he did, get the ball back down and pass to Teddy, who just strolled over, was one of the easiest tries Tedesco would get. Controversy in this game, of course, half time. It looks like Teddy doesn't touch the ball, comes out. Marky Mark scores in the corner. The bunker call it back for a Teddy knock on. Look, I think the call could have gone either way. I think what I don't understand is to me there was probably insufficient evidence to overturn the decision. And in that case, if the ref has said try and it's insufficient evidence, it's usually the ref's call, so it still goes to try. But yeah, look, really interesting one there that they were actually able to call it back because I don't think there was really enough evidence to overturn that at all. Para fans, of course, will disagree, but look, shout out to a couple of Para fans that I know, of course, the Corner Post, one of our great sponsors, Mad Para fans, and of course, the Para Cave podcast, Troy, as well. Big Duck Footy said that pass was deadly. Marky Mark is so great to watch. Oh, he is fantastic. No Wangani Tawaze. I don't know if he's pledged his allegiance to Australia yet. I really hope he does because it would be great to see him be a dual international and play for the Kangaroos at the end of the year. Does have Fijian heritage as well. Let's move on from that game because I don't want to talk about it anymore. But jumping into some Sunday Arvo footy, what a Sunday afternoon! The sun was out shining today, and we had some absolutely great footy and some pretty bad footy as well. Let's start off with the Knights and the Broncos. Broncos getting it done in a big way in this one. Newcastle, for me, they're shot. They're just hanging on. They're looking forward to 2 games to go, and then their season is over. They'll be on the plane to Bali and enjoying the Christmas break. So yeah, look, the Knights, they're just absolutely shot at the moment. Once Ponga got injured in this, sorry, Ponga and Fletcher Sharp. I think Fletcher Sharp was really good at the start of the season. Once those two went, that was really it for Newcastle's season. Look, a bit of a reshuffle. Mudgee was out. Young Voltano was out. If I got that wrong, I'm really sorry. He played last week. He was out as well. Gagai moved to fullback. Schiller back in the side at centre, but just didn't help. This Broncos outfit was absolutely electric. I thought Reece Walsh had one of his better games. Benny Hunt just led the charge at halfback. I actually thought Jordan Ricky was really good on the edge as well. So, look, credit to the Bronx getting it done at the right time of the season. This is what you want. This is where you want to be peaking. This is where you want to be getting those big wins. And I know it's against Newcastle. I'm going to say, oh, they're in the bottom four, but you still want to be getting those wins at this time of the year. You've got 2 games till finals. It's a fantastic it's a fantastic win for the Bronx, especially in Newcastle as well at McDonald Jones Stadium. So credit to them. If there are any comments, please throw them in. Happy to answer anything you have about round 25 at Rugby League. We jump into our final game, the West Tigers, the eighth wonder of the world, Leichhardt Oval on a Sunday. Is there anything better? Well, there was the Cowboys winning, and Cowboys getting it done in this one. 34-28. Now, absolutely great game in this. Quick shout out, Greg King, 792. Jake Arthur is not NRL standard. Yeah, mate. I know it was hard to watch. It was very hard to watch. But I mean, the Knights have experimented with so many halves this year, and I think once they can settle on who is going to be their 6 and 7, I think the club will be far better off. They'll be far better off once they actually settle who their halves are going to be. Next year Dylan Brown coming over, of course, and Fletcher Sharp into 5'8". I think Sharp and Brown will work really well together. The casual NRL has joined. Hello, mate. Hey, Joey. Serious question. Here we go. This will be a Parramatta Roosters question, so I look forward to it, mate. I'll continue while you write your question. But yeah, jumping into our last game, the Tigers. I thought that, I thought the Tigers were really good in this game. Cowboys just wanted it more though towards the end. Of course, Tigers losing Adam Dewey early. Casual NRL, are you ready to acknowledge that the Roosters belong to Para? What a pounding. Yeah, mate. If you were here about 5 minutes ago, you would have heard me uh, concede defeat, mate. I just thought the Roosters, that was atrocious, to complete it only 54%. Good to see Kelmer can take halfbacks out with his knees, though, mate. I thought he was very, very grubby, but what do you do there? But nah, credit to Para, mate. I thought they were really good. I thought Para were great. They came to play in this one, and yeah, look, Roosters, where do we go from here? We'll beat Melbourne and we'll beat the Rabbitohs and we'll still make finals, so it won't really matter. Casual NRL, I want to hear it again. Call me Dad, mate. I'll always call you Dad. But yeah, the Tigers, I thought, look, it's a shame for Tigers fans because obviously they were relying on this win to keep their slim finals chances alive. They didn't do that. It's still an improvement. This year has been a vast improvement from what we've seen over the past 3 seasons. They've had 3 wooden spoons in a row. It's really, really good to see. And I think Tigers fans, hold your heads up because I think you've actually done so, so well. The Cowboys just wanted it more towards the end. Tigers got in the lead and the Cowboys they just came back so hard and fast. Peking Duck footy, shock and heartbreak for the Tigers tonight. Out of nowhere, West had it exactly. And I think, look, credit to some of the Cows players. I thought they were really good. Scotty Drinkwater towards the back end, couple of tries. He was absolutely electric. But I think Cowboys have left it too late as well. They've started to play some really good footy when it doesn't matter. They beat the Knights last week. They've beaten the Tigers this week, and everyone goes, "What could have been for the Cowboys this season?" Of course, it wasn't to be. We did have our ruck infringement, the Statman and Boxy Cup. Of course, Luke took on Reese in this one. Tigers beat Cowboys, so Boxy coming out on top. Mick makes art said our favourite word, drink water. And that's the only way to say it. So, Scotty Drinkwater, he was absolutely electric in this game. But look, yeah, credit to the Cowboys. But I thought the Tigers were very good and vastly improved this season. So, look, fantastic round of rugby league, round 25. We head into round 26 next week. It's going to be another cracker. We've got some absolute great games coming up. And yeah, look, I cannot wait. Thursday night footy, of course, Dogs Panthers is going to be a fantastic game. This one, and then Roosters Melbourne, another absolute cracker on Friday night. So stay tuned for round 26. It's going to be great. Of course, our podcast will be recording tomorrow night, Monday night. So make sure you stay tuned for all our latest content. If you do like our newest hoodies from BTZD, check them out for all your teamwear needs. We've also got beanies as well. So check them out, BTZD. And of course, don't forget our sponsors, the Corner Post, our newest sponsor, Liverpool Westfield. Head on over there. Go check them out. They're awesome sports store. They got all your sporting needs covered from rugby league, soccer, AFL, whatever you enjoy. Head out to the Corner Post, Liverpool. Tell them that the Ruck infringement sent you, and you never know. They might even give you a high five. So, but until next time, guys, I'm the Prophet. Be good.